You'd be hotter if you logged off.
It's honestly laughable how society looks down on people with unacceptable or unpalatable addictions like alcohol, drugs, and gambling. Yet the majority of society is silently suffering from the most common addiction, phone addiction, which is probably just as
I mean, she's probably gonna say it, but yeah, they all are trash.
bad, if not worse, for society in the long term. We have people walking around with
Actually, worst in whose perspective, whose lens is it worse for? Because I mean, the government elites and people in power are probably happy that we're gonna stay stupid by being addicted to our phones. If we ever had a shred of hope in our life and wanting to change and do better for ourselves, then we're gonna definitely have to stop getting addicted to everything. That's why everything is starting to become a temptation. That all these things are manipulated into making you believe a certain thing so that they can control you easier.
a jillion tabs open in their brain of people that they knew from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, tabs of their entire lives, their dating relationships, what they ate for lunch, their fitness routine, all of the things. They just have tabs, open tabs of all of the people they follow, watching their stories, consuming their content every day. And that's not even including influencers, entertainers, Netflix, all the other things that we have to have open tabs on. Now, I'm not a techie person, but I assume if you have a laptop open with 1,000 tabs running all the time, it's going to ruin the laptop, right? It's the same thing that we're doing to our brains. We're not just addicted to
Information overload, and no one's realizing how to filter that information in the first place. And like I'm going to say in a future video, the more resources you have with no direction, it is like a laptop overheating. Let's actually think of it in terms of a PC part, like random access memory, or you know it as RAM. You only have 16 or 32 gigabytes of RAM. Then basically the information overload is running over 32 gigabytes. The RAM is not able to run over 32 gigabytes, but you're forcing it to. And that's kind of what you're doing with your brain. But honestly, I do want to preface here, I don't think your brain has a limit. It's more that your body and your capacity itself, your body has limits and your mind is pretty much limitless. But the thing is that when you overload yourself with information, there is a need for your body to balance both focused and diffused mode of thinking. So you need to know when to balance between analyzing everything, constantly having your computer cluttered with thousands of tabs open. That's just going to leave you more overwhelmed and anxious for when you actually need to do focused work.
the device. And we're not just addicted to the apps on the devices. We're addicted to monitoring people, to keeping up with people. And this amazing Substack post I read the other
It's called FOMO, fear of missing out.
day was a big reason why I felt the desire to make this video. I'll link it in the description if I can find it again. But basically in the article, the author talked about how when she went out for her first ever party in university, she had the time of her life. Her and her best friend, did what uni students do at parties. And then
I just want to predict something. Is she going to say that she starts going into other parties and starts feeling less and less joyful?
when she got back to her dorm room, she had texted her boyfriend, or I think she actually FaceTimed him and was like, hey, babe, I miss you, blah, blah, blah. And immediately he gave her the cold shoulder and he was like, no, you didn't miss me. If you missed me, you would have texted me. I missed you. You would have kept me updated at the party. And the Substack post goes on to talk about how we feel too connected and we can't live in the moment anymore, which is so true. Because of that perceived access we have to so many people, we expect more from them. And aside from content creators and influencers who willingly put their lives out there, many people are addicted to monitoring people that they knew from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that they don't have a relationship with, just because it says they're friends on some social media app. And listen, I have no scientific evidence to back this up, but I have a very strong feeling if you started paying attention to the people you follow and the content you consumed, you would be hotter. Because most of us are keeping tabs on people and consuming content that make us stressed, and then spend hours doing that every single day, which I'm sure aids to you physically looking worse. I listened to a podcast the other day that I'll also link in the
She started off very good in this video, but then how is that stress correlating? I don't really like correlation does not equal causation. So I just find it very devastating in this video where she had a very strong argument in the beginning with the addiction part and how we're handling an information overload. But when she says our stress is leading us to look worse, that's why we'd be hotter if we logged off. It's not A equals B or A causes B. There are many of other factors that are playing a part in this, but obviously if you've seen my other videos, I probably explained it already.
description where the neuroscientist was basically saying that if you eat and then you suddenly get stressed, when your body's digesting that food, it's as if you consumed around 100 extra calories because of what it does to your hormones and the extra energy your body has to use to burn those calories. All that to say, although you might not feel it or see it instantly, when you're constantly scrolling and monitoring people who make you feel like crap, it's going to physically affect how you appear and how you show up in the world. I mean, I know there is scientific.
Wait, I'm not sure. Why would monitoring other people make you feel like crap? Maybe I'm out of the loop already, and maybe I'm woke, but kind of feels weird why you just be hate. Like, is just everyone hate watching everybody nowadays, watching 15 other people's lives?
Proof to back it up in terms of doom scrolling at night, which ruins your circadian rhythm, which means you don't have a good sleep schedule, increases your chances of depression, anxiety, and all that stuff, which physically, obviously, will make you look like crap. So that to me is honestly the least important part. What makes me scared is the fact that majority of society's brain is fried. We have tabs open of people we barely talk to, and we believe that we do not have agency over that. Listen, I am not an extremist. I will never tell someone, oh, just completely stop using social media, go off into the woods and never open an app. I'd be scrolling. I love social media. Social media has changed my life in many ways. I have made some amazing friends in social media. I have had some amazing opportunities on social media. I'm posting on social media by making this video, but I am very careful with what I consume, how much I consume, and I'm very conscious every time I open a social media app. Most of society has completely given up their agency to these big companies that create these devices and these apps that keep us consumed 24/7. But the thing is, you do not have to give up your agency. You are being influenced, but you have control over this. You make choices by virtue of what you do, yes, but by virtue of what you don't do as well.
You know, I want to preface this also, guys. You might not have a choice back in the day when you were younger. And unfortunately, if you were one of the iPad kids or you grew up with technology and your parents just said, okay, go watch YouTube over there in the corner, play video games in the corner. Obviously, in the past, you can't fix that. If you grew up in a household where you're using a lot more technology and you just ended up growing with it, you're more obsessed with social media and following other people's lives or playing video games, understand how much harder it is for you to get out of that. But agency is what lets you control your present self and your future self. And your future self will thank you, genuinely. Like, if you don't try to break that cycle and you don't try to fight through this brainwashing that the big companies are doing to you, because they've honestly engineered the algorithm so well to the point that people will just be on the app nonstop for hours. The big companies don't even care about charging on money alone, the resource of money alone. They care about time even more. They care about how many hours you stay on their platform before you get off, and then they generate more ad revenue from that, sponsorships. Now your hours that you commit to the social media apps, it becomes the selling point for these big companies. And so obviously they're going to engineer the algorithm to make it easier for you to stay on the platform. The agency is after understanding your past. How do you control what you can control and then move forward in the future?
You have a choice to not doom scroll, to create systems to stop yourself from going online and not being conscious. The word doom scroll, I think, has become kind of a buzzword, so it's lost its meaning. When I think of doom scroll, at least, what I think of is scrolling with no conscious thought. I've actively made the decision to never scroll with no conscious thought, because what happens is you allow things to permeate your subconscious mind without saying yes or no. A lot of people do not have digital literacy. They will open up their phone, they will see a tweet and be like, this is a fact, or they'll start reading a thread that makes them stressed, or they'll start watching a video that makes them stressed, that seems dumb, probably goes against their values, or just doesn't feel right. And they won't stop and think, maybe I shouldn't continue reading this, or maybe I shouldn't spend 40 more seconds listening to this person talk because I don't agree with this, or this doesn't align with my values, or blah, 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 like whatever the case is. Instead, they'll keep watching it. If you're doom scrolling, permeates your subconscious mind, and you will live with that tab open in your brain, not consciously, but it's open in your brain, and it will start to leak through your actions in your daily life. A big shift for me was, I would say in 2021, pandemic times, I was listening to a lot of YouTube podcasts, trash YouTube podcasts, just to fill my mind, because at that period, I hadn't really done the work to be okay with my thoughts. So I would just constantly fill my mind. I was basically a grown iPad kid, which was honestly pathetic. And then when the world started to open up and we were allowed to, let's say, go out and go to restaurants with friends, I would go out and I would start to spew the rhetoric that I was listening to, even though I didn't actually believe it, or those thoughts would come in my mind. So I would immediately think of arguments or ideas that these podcasts that I didn't agree with were spewing, because I was just watching it for entertainment and it wasn't that deep. When I realized how much it had leaked through me in those moments, I immediately had to make a change. And most people think that they don't have the ability to do that. Now, if I'm scrolling on TikTok, Reels, I'm reading something on Substack, Twitter, I feel how my body reacts to things. I think about whether I believe it. And if I read something and I don't agree with it, or I don't think it matches my values.
She's had to have gone to therapy. This literally sounds like cognitive behavioral therapy, which is why she was talking about digital literacy in the first place.
Or it's just trash, it's just slop, it's just internet garbage, I will consciously react to it, right? I will consciously tell myself, LOL, this is dumb. LOL, no, I don't.
To be fair, honestly, like doom scrolling or just scrolling and for content in general, like a lot of it is pretty garbage. But the thing is if you're tolerable to those things, then it's fine. It's a matter of wasting your time on these apps because the government and all these big corporations actually want you to be wasting your time.
Agree with this. You get what I'm saying? Like, I am very conscious about what I'm consuming. I never let myself doom scroll so much where I'm not aware of what I am letting into my mind.
We live in a consumer culture. Like literally, if we just make money, work the rest of our lives, and keep consuming content just to make ourselves feel better, the government's gonna thank us because we literally are somebody that just doesn't want to speak up about anything, passively living life and being complacent about our situation.
And we all know that these companies profit off us not being cognizant. And there was going to be millions of people who continue to doom scroll and be a node in this machine, right? But
and that's fine. I'm only targeting the people that actually want to change. If you love doom scrolling, by all means, keep doom scrolling. But I know there are people out there that are willing to change and willing to improve their life. And if we can make a community that people intentionally live life, then we can have actual good conversations and understand one another. That's the mindset I want to have because I do have hope for this new generation. We are the smartest generation ever because of the rise of AI and because of how much information that we can handle and are conditioned to handle. And so doom scrolling and all these other dopamine instant gratifications aren't irreversible. Like you can literally rewire your brain in an alternative way so that you can feel fulfillment as much as the doom scrolling felt and replace that feeling.
Active choice to not be and still participate in it. You can create that balance. And it's a big part of what I want to share with people because I think there's just extremes in society these days. There'll be people that are like, I don't use social media and I don't think anyone should use social media. And then there's people who are like, I don't care. It's not that deep. I'm a doom scroll, chronically online, blah, 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 blah. You can find balance and enjoy these amazing pieces of technology and social media that we have in society while also not allowing yourself to.
It's really all a mindset thing and your environment. So environment as in what content you're actually absorbing and then the mindset of how you interpret that content. Because if your mindset's cooked and your environment's cooked, then what agency do you have in your life? You have no control over anything.
You fall victim to it. And to me, one of the most obvious reasons, as we've already discussed, will likely make you hotter, but also probably a more powerful reason to not become a victim to your phone and to these apps is because the same people who created them don't use them, wouldn't let their kids use them, and probably laugh at the robots they've created. They create the thing, they extract money.
I mean, the same thing happened with cigarette companies. Like, they don't care if you smoke and get lung cancer. Like, they just profit off of you. You're just another customer to them.
And then they log out. And meanwhile, there's people out here who can't sit down for 30 seconds without checking their phone 4 times and checking every platform and then going back on the platform that they just came out of because their brain needs that hit of dopamine. It's literally insane. insane. It's so bad these days that now whenever I meet up with a friend or I meet someone new, I always ask them, when's the last time you ate a meal without watching something or listening to something? And when's the last time you went on your hot girl walk without listening to a podcast? You can go on your hot girl walk without listening to a podcast. In fact, you need to go on a hot girl walk without a podcast because you need to get close with yourself. You need to sit with the thoughts that you have in your mind.
I think I lost the plot
and
here.
get to know yourself more. Podcasts can be great for you as well. Like, it's not all slop, but if you're constantly clouding your mind, you will never be able to fully even use the stuff that you're learning. Let's say if it's an educational podcast, you need time to sit with yourself, to sit with your thought.
It depends how intentional you are. If it is an educational one, yes, you have to be in the right mindset. You have to be in the right environment as well. But if it's just something for entertainment, obviously you don't have to. Like, we're not saying to just completely remove entertainment. That's why social media is actually a great piece of technology, because we can still watch Twitch streams, we can still watch YouTube videos and be entertained by them, learn from them. But the thing is, you have to be very cognizant of that fact. You have to be very self-aware and understand what you actually want for yourself.
And to grow as a person. If you've never watched me before, I built a multi-six-figure freelance business in 18 months. And one of the biggest reasons I believe personally that I was able to do that is because I realized I had agency in most areas of my life. And then I chose to take action. I chose to take control. And one of the easiest kind of gateways into doing that is over your health. That's why you'll see a lot of fitness people start businesses, because the discipline and control that it takes to gain weight, lose weight, get up every single day, move your body, go to the gym, do something hard, creates a stronger muscle in you that will allow you to have the mental fortitude to then go into business, for example. But another gateway into, I think, seeing that you have more agency than you think is starting with your phone addiction. A majority of people have phone addiction. Like, I barely know anybody that's in their 20s and above. Obviously, young kids, they're cooked. I don't know what the young kids are going to do, but 20s and up, even older people, I know, even like my parents, sometimes they'll catch themselves doom scrolling, and they had many, many years without phones, unlike some of us, right? When I realized that I had this addiction, and that podcast situation was a big realization for me. I'm a very ritualistic and drastic person when it comes to making decisions and trying to achieve things. If I want to make a big change, I need to make a big act or ritual to start that, to execute that, and really tell myself, okay, this is the new era. I hate that word, but new era that we're going into. So as an example, when I decided to build my freelance business, the year I decided, it happened to be around New Year's Eve, I stayed inside. I didn't go out to party. I didn't do anything. I literally stayed in my room. I had my laptop open. I was learning about copywriting and journaling and doing whatever corny thing you could imagine. Someone who's like, I'm going to start the new year off great. At 12 a.m., that's what I was doing on New Year's Eve. I did that purposely.
When did she do this copywriting freelance stuff? Because that's just the most...
Not because it was like, oh, like I'm better than everyone. It was like, I need to drastically make a decision that proves that I'm moving into this new...
I mean, that's nothing special. Like, anyone that's studied for exams might actually do the same thing, especially if you're going for a higher level in career field.
Era of Danae. And that sort of ritualistic thinking is something that I take in every area of my life. So with the phone stuff, immediately delete apps off my phone, 30 days, no apps. After you get past day 2, day 3, it'll start to get easier. Day 4, a week, boom, you start to realize that you can think again, wow, and then you'll start to realize the benefits. So, to get a little bit deep.
Like I said, I don't think it's that simple. She would have to break it down. I mean, I thought she did writing. Wouldn't you have more practical solutions to get to where you are? Because I'm going to delete apps on my phone and magically everything is okay now. I can think now. I'm actually happy that I only use like 2 hours daily for my phone. I barely like check it other than emails or messages.
Deeper about how you can start to make changes to rid this phone addiction, social media addiction. And even if you don't want to, let's say, make that big change immediately, or it's literally going to be too hard for you because you're so addicted, that's fine. What I think you can do is make smaller changes. I'm definitely not...
Hey, whoever's actually addicted to their phone, let me know in the comments or discuss with me in the Discord server. Like, I genuinely want to understand every part of not really like stalking your life, but like experiences that kind of led you down that rabbit hole. I fall into doom scrolling too. Like, the algorithm gets me too. I understand that. But I wonder, with people who are conscious or self-aware, I want to understand your opinion of still doom scrolling. I wonder if that doom scrolling is filling a void in you that maybe you're able to somewhat explain to me so that I can try to come up with an actual solution for a future video.
Not going to explain this in
I would
a
appreciate it.
scientific way, so please forgive me. But from my understanding in neuroscience, there's this idea that the way your brain works is that it's constantly predicting what's going to happen
See, that is an issue right here, saying you're trying to back everything by science and neuroscience.
next. While you're talking to someone, it's constantly predicting what's going to happen next and what's going to come out of your mouth, even though I didn't say it. So then there's this concept called prediction error, which you can use to help yourself get out of bad habits or start building new habits and create new identities, basically. So prediction error is the difference between what your brain expected, what it was about to predict, and what actually happens. It signals to your brain that something in your environment didn't go as expected, which forces your brain to pay attention and potentially update its beliefs. So this concept is what allows us to learn, to create habits. And from what I understand, it's the same thing that creates addictions or motivation or attention, right? So you can imagine then that your brain is literally rewiring itself based on how wrong its predictions are. So you can kind of use this idea to create better habits. So you can start small, for example, and go to the settings on your phone and put a time limit on an app. Instead of 11 hours, you only are allowed 5 hours, and you can constantly decrease it. What you'll have to do over time is every single day, once that notification comes up that says your time is up and you've been on apps for 5 hours, you don't go on the app. You find something else to do. You read a book. You force yourself to do something else. And over time, what you'll do is you'll change your belief about yourself. You'll change the belief that
I like how she uses the word force because when it is this drastic of an addiction at this point, you have to force yourself when you first start. But then once you get agency and once you understand what you want in life, that's when you shift the force into choice.
I'm a person who's addicted to my phone, or I cannot go
Like, I genuinely just choose to not be on my phone. I choose to do the things that I do. I choose to post YouTube videos.
without monitoring people, or I cannot go without being on my phone, to I have control over whether I go on my phone or not. And if you keep doing that, as you can imagine, and decreasing the time limit and continuing to be that person, you then take back your control. So for me, I have control over being on my phone, getting off, getting on. I can immediately, quote unquote, lock in when I need to because I have used that prediction error idea to help myself believe that I am that person. But also, I have boundaries. At the end of the day, I'm only human and I know how my brain works. And these apps are made to make it really difficult to do these things, right? So because of that, for example, in the morning, I do not open my phone. So I'll wake up, I'll make my bed, brush my teeth, get on my clothes. And if I go on my phone, the only thing I'm looking at is the workout app to see if the class is still on or if anything has changed and the time. My phone's on big DND, like the big one where I can't see any notifications or dots or anything like that. That's another thing. Another boundary for me, I have no notifications on. I haven't had notifications on my phone for 5 years. Again, it's not a Hollywood thing, whatever. My most important people in my favorites, if they need to call me, that will go through. Otherwise, no notification is that important to me because what happens is if you look up the stats on how often you pick up your phone a day, you would be sick. It's just insane, right? And if you have notifications on, it just increases the amount of times you're going to be a little rat. Like, oh, more cheese, more cheese, more cheese. You want to reduce the chances of how much you can be a rat. Pull the toggle to get more dopamine, right? It's like someone texts you about something important maybe that you're doing, and then all of a sudden you're scrolling on TikTok. That's what happens. So for me, boundaries are no notifications on, haven't had them on for years, has honestly changed my life. It's just like amazing. If I need to go on an app, I'll go on it. If somebody is texting me, I'll open it to text them back when I have the time. Or if my phone is not on DND, I'll hear the vibration, but the notification thing is actually not popping up. For me, that works and has been really helpful. And then as I say, in the mornings, I don't go on my phone. I'll go on my phone sometimes after the class. So I'm like, okay, I've done something hard for the day, which again is training my brain. I'll go on the apps, check my apps, my email or whatever. Sometimes though, if I feel like I can't really explain it and I don't know the science behind it, but if I feel like I'm mentally weaker that day, I won't go on my phone until way later.
I've I've noticed, why does she keep saying the science behind it? I guess the terminology, she actually was the closest, one of the closest creators I've seen when it comes to psychology. But I do agree though. I'm not trying to flame her or anything. I do agree that her rituals and keeping her notifications off. You should really only save your phone for messages or phone calls. Like, let's keep our phones the way it used to be when we had flip phones. It makes it a lot easier that we don't use our phones for literally everything like it's a mini PC. And honestly, if you are going to use social media a lot, then you should probably just save it for your computer, not whenever you're going out and socializing and you have your phone everywhere where you can just keep constantly looking at your phone and scrolling.
I'll push it back because I know that the moment I go on my phone, I'm giving myself easy dopamine. Again, this is probably not scientifically correct, but you get what I'm saying. I'll give myself easy dopamine, so then it will be harder for me to complete my tasks. But I'm ruthless with what I consume.
It's really balanced, but I'm going to talk about it in a different video how we should balance our brains. Because you can still do doom scrolling, but what is the alternative you're doing to make sure it's balanced?
Who I consume, what I watch, how I live with my phone. My phone is a tool for me. It's a tool to access my friends and family. It's a tool to build my business. It's a tool to connect with people like you. But
That's the difference with someone like her because she already understands her responsibilities. And once you understand your responsibilities, you understand what the intention is behind doing everything. And once you have less and less time to do the things that you want to do, and you keep having agency within your life to choose what you want to do, you'll start noticing your body has limits, your time has limits. And now you want to optimize as much as you can so you have enough time for yourself, you have enough energy for yourself. And that's exactly what she's talking about, where she's trying to get herself more agency over her life. This is not advice you give to somebody that's actually trying to get out of doom scrolling because they don't want to optimize their life when they first get out of it. So I would say like the advice is somewhat clear, but like, yeah, when it comes to first leaving doom scrolling, you have to figure out what your responsibilities and like where your agency is.
it doesn't control me. As you listen to this, I'm convincing you that you need to see it as that too if you feel like you are addicted. And as I said, if you start to realize that you have age,
You're going to see a disconnect from someone who thinks like this because they've already understood their responsibilities and their intentions in life. And someone who is doom scrolling doesn't see that. You have to start slowly, obviously. And you have to also understand from their perspective why they even are doing it in the first place.
agency in these small areas of your life, it'll leak into other areas. This also opened up. So, I went through a fitness journey. I went through a phone addiction journey. I built a multi six-figure freelance business. And now I'm so addicted to seeing what I can achieve, what I can control. So I run these 30-day experiments with myself, which I encourage you to do. Run experiments to see what you can achieve and who you can become, how things feel. It's so fun.
Okay, she might be a little sociopathic, but I do agree with the experiment on yourself because I love philosophy and psychology. I always thought philosophy was very abstract and like never actually doing anything. And then psychology is a bunch of case studies and theories. And so I realized, wait a minute, why can't we just apply these to our own life? And that's why there's a practical element to it. Which is why when I experiment on my own life, when I do self reflections, it's almost daily. And anytime I listen to any information from those two subjects, or any subject for that matter, I try to wonder, how does this apply to my life? I guess if something similar to that mindset helps you guys in any way, then hopefully we can discuss in the Discord some more.
As an example, in January, the experiment I ran was I didn't listen to music with lyrics for 30 days. I thought that experiment would be a breeze. I proved myself wrong. It was so hard. So I listened to jazz and classic, but I couldn't listen to music with lyrics. And I realized how much music can motivate me, how much I often use music to cloud my mind when I'm not feeling good. Yeah, I thought that I was pretty okay with my thoughts and that I was fine with silence or
No, she definitely has gone to therapy before, and her experimenting on herself, that just sounds like cognitive behavioral therapy, to be honest. Try to find a control group and what variable you're actually trying to test, and then run that for however long, and then see the results of that so that you can keep optimizing, like, this is good for me, this is bad for me. But the more you live like that, the more it just becomes, I don't want to say she's shallow or falls under the comparison umbrella, but that kind of hustle culture, red pill content, like the physical values, and like, I mean, she said her fitness journey. I mean, that fitness journey is fine. When you start turning it into you have to keep achieving, you have to keep doing better. That's where I draw the line because eventually you're gonna have to be satisfied with where you are or keep looking for the next best thing. And honestly, until you accept who you are, then you're gonna have to keep chasing for it.
No music, but I was proven wrong when I was put into a forced experiment where I actually had to control that. And it just opened my eyes. Again, I'm not an extremist, so it's like obviously I'm going to keep listening to music with lyrics, but I realized, okay, sometimes it's being used as a coping mechanism or a crutch, so I need to be more cognizant of that. And also, when I came back after the 30 days and I was listening to some songs, I'm like, some of these lyrics I probably do not want in my brain, permeating my subconscious mind. Realizing how much we can.
You know, I'm not trying to invade boundaries or be unhinged, but I wonder what her take is on relationships or like seeing red flags. And I don't even know what her other content is, to be honest, but like if she's probably seeing red flags, or because I feel like her observation skills are getting optimized to a point where like she'd make assumptions or play out scenarios in her head. And I mean, a lot of overthinkers do that, but it's just what I'm getting from this video.
Assume sticks with us has changed the way I do and think and live in a lot of ways. So especially now with music after the experiment too, it's like, even if on the surface it doesn't make a change or a difference to me, it is making a difference in who I become. And I am making a choice, again, by virtue of what I do, but also by virtue of what I don't do. So I'm choosing to listen to this music and allow it to permeate my subconscious mind, which means I'm allowing it to affect me in whichever way that it does or can. And I also did the same experiment with no Netflix or no shows. That for me is honestly.
Oh, that's the word I was trying to figure out. It feels very micromanaging. Like if she does this to herself, then who's to say that she doesn't do this similarly to family or friends or even in relationships? That's just me personally. That's what I'm getting from this. That's all I'm saying.
Not as hard. I do love a little Netflix binge here and there, but I saw some stats about how much time we'll spend over our course of our lives watching TV or shows, and it just opened my eyes. Not
Gang, watch TVs and shows while you're old. You'll have 24 hours to yourself. Just watch shows when you're old. Like, why are we watching it now when we're literally in peak physical condition and able to operate at a high level?
to say that it's bad, but it's like, is this what you want to be doing? And these types of things allow me to think about how I want to live my life. I did a video the other day, and if you're still watching this, you'll probably like that video where I talk about how I was a people pleaser and I didn't really have any morals or values of my own. So a big part of the self-improvement work that I do now is ensuring that I'm always checking in. What do I believe? Who am I? Right? And I'm constantly checking in with myself. So I'm not just doing something blindly because I see people on social media do it or friends that are around, people around me are doing it. It's like, what do I really want? So doing these experiments, they give me actual physical proof about who I am and what I actually value. But
I wonder when that shift happened for her, because for me it's kind of rooted in trauma, but it would be very interesting to know if she had it on her channel. But I'm wondering if I really should know or care to know.
really, what I want you to get out of this is that you can choose yourself. You need to remember and constantly remind yourself that you run the show. And if you can gut your habits, you can allow yourself to reveal who you truly are underneath. And honestly, that's one of the best things you can do to improve your life overall. And it will also probably help you go get paid. Bye.
I don't like that she added the get paid at the end, but I definitely do think before we lost some of the plot in the middle there, and I was almost dazing off. Overall, it was an alright video. If you want to watch the original video, the link is in the description below. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Peace. If you want a place to reflect, ask questions, share ideas, or talk with people who are trying to live their life intentionally, you can join my Discord server in the description below.